Last week, Keen Games released their second major update for Enshrouded, which brought with it a new biome called Black Mire, featuring titanic trees, new enemies and buildables, as well as a whole lot more. And I hope today to cover everything important, as well as ask the question, is this major update worth checking out? Because in my eyes, this major update has one major flaw. So without further ado, what's new? First, we have the new biome Black Mire. This is actually a sub-biome and more like an extension of Revelwood rather than a complete biome with new resources to find, and with it obviously new unlockables. As such, you'll find the regular resources there, such as flax, chamomile, turnips, hardwood, as well as numerous clay and copper veins. It's a truly beautiful biome containing tree villages and tar pits, and you can find it in the northwest of the map, and is suitable for level 13 to level 15s, meaning new players or players doing a second run get a fresh challenge early into the game. Regardless, it's a nice change, and the biome does include a new Craftsman, the Bard, which makes it worth exploring regardless of your level. Currently, the Bard is unlocked by finishing the first Black Mire quest and only allows the crafting of musical instruments and vanity clothing, though I'm sure this will be expanded at a later date. Playing musical instruments does give a slight boost to your rested bonus, and there are currently 4 instruments available. We have the drum, which is found at the top of the Black Mire trees, a flute, a harp, and the other a lute. With the Bard, we have a couple of quests, including one that sees us searching taverns for different sheet music, and finding the sheet music allows you to unlock different music to play. And I've covered all the locations of the sheet music in my recent Enshrouded video, so do check that out if you're interested. I'll mention it again shortly as we cover other things as well. Now, whilst on the subject, quest progression is now player-based, which means you can complete quests individually in multiplayer, and multiplayer runs now have permission settings for servers. And if you're looking for a server provider, do check out Low.ms. We're partnered with them, and if you use the code Totalxclipse as well as the link in the description, you'll get 20% off your first month. The permissions also allow you to choose who can take items from storage chests, or who can build and remove blocks, or even add and remove flame altars, giving your precious saves a little bit more protection, and it's great to see they've added this. Now, the vanity system allows you to choose clothing to be worn on top of your armor so that you can choose how you look regardless of your playstyle. As you explore, you'll come across several new enemies. There's the Vulca faction that's been expanded with javelin throwers. I don't believe they were there prior to the update, but also the brawlers as well. You'll also come across shroud hogs in the shroud. There are wasps now and tar lizards, adding a little extra flavor to your encounters. Exploring's also been made a little bit more fun, with Fort Kelvin, Hollock and Ferndale receiving a major overhaul, and enemies have been adjusted throughout the map to reflect the level biome they're in. The tar lizards that I mentioned earlier can be found in tar and mud pits throughout Black Mire, and with them we'll now have to deal with tar, which works similarly to mud, but you'll continue sinking, and if you're not careful, you'll drown in it. Thankfully though, you can jump on the back of dead lizards to help you traverse, or if you've opted for the double jump, you'll find yourself easily being able to work your way through the bogs, providing you have the stamina. Now, with Black Mire being a sub-biome of Revelwood, you won't feel you're unlocking any new craftables from the resources you find, but don't worry, they will come in use, but they replace recipes that we already know if you're playing with a late game character such as me. So for example, the lizard hide is now going to be used for the medium backpack. There are also a heap of new buildable items and furniture, from large doors and trampolines, which make the perfect launch platform for your outposts, but also new statues, fencing, windows, tables and chairs. You may have also noticed there are some new Hollow Hall related decorations, such as these banners. Now these can be found in the lists with the current Craftsman, but you will need to finish the Black Mire crafting recipes quest to unlock them all. Now if you are struggling to find those notes or any quest related items and shroud routes in the update, then do make sure to check out my locations guide, which I mentioned prior. Again, it'll be in the cards in the description below. Now, along with the crafting recipes, we also have 3 new build pieces that can be found. 2 are found inside Black Mire. There's the Vulca Temple Stone and Plated Block, and the 3rd in Fort Kelvin, which is the Timbered Brick Blocks. Again, I show the locations in my video. Now, on top of these 3 base building pieces, we have 5 new placeable terrain pieces. So we have foliage, found mining these bushes. We also have mushroom flesh by harvesting what looks like the wasp nests. The Black Mire heartwood and bark is found harvesting the bark from the gigantic trees, and also the Black Mire heartwood that I just mentioned is found by digging out the center of those trees. And then finally, we have the Vulca nesting material. These can be found harvesting Vulca village roofs. This actually gives us a lot to play with. So if you'd like to see me work on another build video with these pieces specifically, do let me know in the comments below. We've also been gifted with a new weapon type, daggers, which sees you styling 2 daggers, and these use dexterity to increase damage output, making them perfect for rangers as a backup weapon or for assassins. Now, I'm going to be working on an assassin guide, hopefully in the coming weeks, so do keep an eye out for that. Unfortunately, daggers don't stack with strength, but there are plenty of new skill points available which buff the use of daggers, such as Dagger Master, Slice and Dice, and Opportunity. Now, when it comes to the daggers, there are supposedly a total of 19 to find throughout the world now, each with its own pros and cons, making it even more important to find daggers that suit your playstyle. And you'll be wanting to play around with your playstyle, as there's been a huge rework to all classes. Mages have been given quite the nerf, notably Water Aura, and now works as a buff, so it means it's no longer stackable with multiple Water Auras. Wand action cancel timers have also been adjusted, so you can't instantly block with a shield halfway through an attack. And there's also been a few other balances to staff damage, various skills, and the Unity skill has also been buffed from a 2% mana regeneration to 4%. Warrior skills have also been reworked to improve their late game effectiveness, although it's important to note that these skill trees will no doubt be expanded later on as more updates are released. Now, I could go through each of the changes for the warrior, but there are a lot, so I do recommend checking out the Steam patch notes for them. And finally, we have the ranger, which after Hollow Halls became a touch too OP for my liking. Despite this, they have reworked the area of effect arrows, splitting explosive arrows into 2 tiers, with the first tier being considerably cheaper to produce, which is great, though the bone arrows are more than sufficient now when it comes to attacking multiple enemies. Rangers also have finesse weapons, which scale with dexterity. These are the daggers that we mentioned prior, but I do hope that we'll have different style of finesse weapons further down the line, such as rapiers. Outside of combat, we also have had a ton of rebalances with player progression and equipment. Interestingly enough, cleaned bandages remove the poison effect, making them much more beneficial to carry around with. Although I do feel the poison effect needs to stop upon death, as there's nothing more infuriating than being poisoned only to die, then come back alive and die again. I hope that was just a little oversight. Obviously, you can just wait for the timer, but a 20-second timer is 20 seconds waiting to respawn. But that pretty much covers all of the new stuff and changes, and I love what they've done with this major update, but I do feel that making it a low-level biome was a bit of an undersight, because all of the dedicated players are now running around with maxed out characters. Sure, we could start over, but there isn't that much reason given that we can respec our characters cheaply and easily, which has made this a little bit disappointing for me, because I was running around with ease as all enemies are 10 levels lower than me. especially with it being teased as a new biome rather than a sub-biome or an extension to Revelwood. It definitely got my hopes up that we'd have a bit more of a challenge ahead of us. Personally, I would have loved them to have mentioned it was more of an extension of a biome, and maybe to have brought this on alongside another biome update, such as the mountains biome, and that way we would have had the best of both worlds. Again, this isn't to say it's a bad update. It's not. It's a great update. It's great to see the level of love and care that they've put into this world, but with the community really wanting to see the level cap increased and to develop their characters further, and knowing that each biome brings with it greater challenges, I really went into this update expecting that. Regardless, we've got a new sub-biome, weapons and skills to play about with, as well as buildables, quests, and a new craftsman. That's pretty awesome despite my expectations, and if anything, it's gotten me even more excited for the mountain update, providing of course that comes with a bigger challenge for late game characters. But guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on this update. Are you returning to play this update, or are you waiting until a later update? And if you have played it, how have you found it? Let me know in the comments below. But guys, we're going to leave it there. Special thanks does go to all of our amazing supporters on Patreon, most notably our Solarclipse patron, Firefless, as well as our Lunas, the Calamity, Ben and Star, and our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Jenny. But until next time, as always, ciao for now.